Okay, welcome to a special post-fight episode, pound for pound box report. I usually don't do this, and I especially don't do this in the mornings, but considering the fight, we got to talk about it. Mentioning, discussing Shinsuke Yamanaka versus Luis Nery for months now. Gus, I got to give him congratulations. I'm gonna shout out. He put me on Luis Nery a couple of years ago now. The fight went down today. I'm your host, Michael. Joining me this morning, Gail from Community Digital News, Gus from Corruption and Boxing, both from Truth and Facts. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, we just saw a rising of the arrival of a force in the lower weight divisions as Luis Nery um, he basically bodied Shinsuke Yamanaka, destroyed him, stopped him in four. Yamanaka's corner stepped in to stop the action as after Yamanaka was getting pounded on the ropes. Boxing Twitter right now, hardcore boxing Twitter fans are talking about it right now as we speak. I'll go to you, Gus, since you're the one who put me on Luis Nery. Before anyone else was talking about him, you were talking about him. You mentioned him as a prospect of the year, I believe, 2 years ago on the show. I'll give you the floor now. Uh, Talk about it. We expected Luis Nery to win, but we didn't expect him to really give Yamanaka the business in the way he did.
It's just amazing how the human body can either get an injection of adrenaline and you're so pumped. I'm, I'm just spinning around at the moment. Wow, just absolutely um, euphoric, amazed regarding this spectacle. Um, you know, Luis has justified the faith that we, including yourself, Mike, you've been talking about this guy as well for years. That we have, placed in a young fighter who has left the shores of Mexico to travel to Japan to fight in the division in his home city, Tokyo, Japanese TV. And you could see very early, Mike, Luis was a little bit nervous, and that's justifiably so. He's only in his young 20s. Um, he looked a little bit nervous when the national anthem was playing. I was thinking, okay, that's a good sign. Put yourself in any other position, any other young fighter is going to go away from his comfort zone. They're also going to get nervous, but that's good. Yamanaka, as we expected, looked very relaxed. He's familiar with this whole setup, the scene. As the fight unfolded very early on, Luis was a little bit more circumspect than what I would expect. Um, he wasn't bobbing and weaving in his customary trait that I expected, but he was sitting outside of the zone, not coming into range, a little bit tentative, looking at his time, which is good. He wasn't just rushing in. Um, Obviously, nerves was still present there. Yamanaka looked okay in the early stages. He was utilizing more of his length, and that was the correct strategy. He's firing that sharp right hand. He fires from quite low position to sort of low going up. Luis, the shorter guy, um, you know, his defenses were a little bit sort of weary early on. He was taking those jabs. Yamanaka was firing those overhand lefts as well, which was catching Luis, but nothing too concrete, nothing too flush. Luis was able to use his right hand to try and block certainly those left hands, but they were getting through. And we knew that was pretty much what Yamanaka was going to do. He was going to say, this is my territory. I'm the man. You're going to have to come here and try and break me down. But we saw Luis towards the end of the round starting to have some success. The key thing, what he was doing, he was getting underneath Yamanaka's punches. He likes that, to put his chin down, get his sort of gloves up, try and sway the punches, use that side-to-side movement, and then fire the left hands. He began to fire a couple of single shots to the body, which was having some success, then firing the left hands. And you could see towards the end of the rounds, the Japanese commentator is getting a little bit agitated, a little bit nervous, because they could clearly see, the power was in his hands. So as the second and the third rounds wore off, Yamanaka was definitely having some success with the overhand lefts, but Nery slowly but surely was accelerating his momentum, getting more and more into the fight, shedding off his nerves. And he began, not only to attack the body with single punches, certainly the right hand was working, but his left hand was working up top. The punches were landed. You could clearly see they were, having some significant impact on Shinsuke. Shinsuke took him well. I expected him to stand there and trade, and he did to a large part. But I guess it really wasn't the wise strategy. He should have used his legs a lot more to move around the ring, trying to, almost pot shot from distance, as he clearly is the more sort of nimble, flexible guy. But as I expected, Luis's weapons is his two-handed attacks, and that's the key, getting inside the punches. And the left hook, which early on in the fourth round, which caught Yamanaka, bang, he got underneath his punch, bang, right, left hand on the side of Yamanaka's head, really set the momentum. And after that, he was like an avalanche, a snowball gaining momentum, and he just continued the onslaught, two-handed attacks, breaking Yamanaka down, pushing him over to the ropes, just pounding on him relentlessly. I saw one body shot as well. You can see Yamanaka really wincing, pretty much took the air out of him. And, that was pretty much all they wrote, Shinsuke's corner, compassionate. And, a lot of people thought maybe they're doing too early for Luis, but when you're just that sort of talent, when you just got, he's just too aggressive. And the last thing I'd say is, you can never underestimate the hunger of a young man going for his first title, that defense. It just gives you that extra 10, 20%. And, fortunately, Mexico have got their revenge over Japan in recent months. So, yeah, I'm absolutely, on cloud nine at the moment. Very, very happy.
I'll go to you, Gail, because it's early. Shoot, 5 o'clock in the morning. You got up to watch this.
I got up at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
One of my dogs came downstairs, and the other said, "Hell no, I'm staying in bed."
When Nery hit Yamanaka with, I believe, a right hook in round two, at some point in round two, and towards the end of the round, Yamanaka went to the corner with a smile on his face. At that point, I got the sense it's like, okay, I've tasted his power. I can take it. It's my time. Yamanaka moved well in round three, but to Cus's point, you can see that Nery was like, okay, he's hit me with some shots too. I can take it. Let me settle down here. And once he really started to settle down and shake off the nerves, as Gus was talking about, he came on with almost like a contemporary Henry Armstrong style effect. And Yamanaka, he had no answers. There was nothing he could do. It's like he turned on the switch in round four. Once he did, the fight was over.
He turned on the switch at the end of round three, and he really turned it on before that. He snuck in. I rewatched the fight, so I've seen it twice. He snuck in a lot of body work, Once again, we see that investing in body work early pays off. And in this case, it paid off quick. I mean, he didn't launch a relentless attack to the body, but he threw a shot right in the middle of that last round to the classic left hook to the liver. And I think that set up everything that cascaded in on Yamanaka from there. The headshots were spectacular, and he was snapping that man's head back and forth in both directions. But the bodywork set it up. It was a brilliant strategy. He worked it to perfection. And what I really like about Nery is that closer's instinct. When they smell blood in the water like a shark and move right in, they don't worry about anything except that opportunity right in front of him. He seized it and he got it. Credit to him for the execution. Credit to him and his team. His media workout, he looked good. a few days ago when the media was invited in, and what's fairly unusual is there was a sparring session for the media. He looked good then. You can't always draw a straight bright line from a media workout 3 days before a championship fight to what happened, but it was, as it turns out in retrospect, a sign of things to come. But you can't help but feel for Yamanaka. After a few minutes sitting in the corner, as it sunk in what had happened to him, he was devastated. Mr. Honda, who runs Taiken, came over to console him, and at that point, when Mr. Honda was in front of him, he just broke down in tears. He really was inconsolable. That's going to be rough for him. He's got a tough night ahead of him, realizing what's happened.
I'll go to you, Bo. As the rest of us, as Gail and I got up, kind of mid-morning, well, mid-afternoon, kind of afternoon now, and where Gus is watching the fight over in the UK. You can't help but be impressed by the way in which Nery turned it up on Yamanaka. I don't know if Yamanaka got old per se. I just think this is, again, a lot of this has to go to Nery. To Gail's point, that eye of the tiger, that aggressiveness, the mixture of head and body work, once he begins to settle things down, I just can't say enough about, at that moment, being the challenger, the biggest fight of his career, in another guy's hometown. The way he performed, impressive. I can't think of a better word to use. Unmute your mic.
It was. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was beyond impressive. It really was. It was. Listen, there was a reason why people were saying that Nery was possibly the heir apparent, and we saw that today. We definitely did. He was making, I believe this was his 10th or 12th title defense.
13th.
Okay.
13th.
Right.
13th. Unlucky 13.
You know what I'm saying? He's making his 13th title defense. He was looking to tie for third for most title defense in any division. And again, he was going up against the best, second best dude outside himself, that everybody was like, this dude is the heir apparent, So, wow. I can't, I mean, it was I'm watching it, and you could see Yamanaka started finding his groove and everything like that. Yamanaka started, he started pumping that jab. And once Nery realized he don't have anything for me, he jumped on him. He just came out and jumped on him. And then, what else too that we also saw is this too. It kind of reminded me of the Vladimir Klitschko fight, which was, I remember James Ali Bashir said that was one thing you should tell him was watch out for the early start. And he came out in that fourth round and just jumped on him right away and didn't give him a chance to recover. And Yamanaka was in a position that he hadn't been in a very long time. He was hurt, and you're hurt, and a guy is steady raining punches down on you and not stopping, because the fourth round of the fight, this boy is still fresh, and his corner just jumped in and stopped it. So, I mean, it was an impressive win.
Keep in mind, I want to really put this in perspective for those who may be listening now, and for those who are checking us out later on. To Bo's point, Yamanaka, 13th defense, was getting ready to attempting to set the all-time record for title defenses by a Japanese fighter. This is a universally recognized top 10 pound-for-pound fighter, folks, whether it's Ring Magazine or ESPN, by the publications. And this young kid, 23 years old, Luis Nery, went in there and did the business, and took him apart. Uh, Going back to you, Gus, quick assessment here. Given what we just saw, let's look at the future of Nery now, um, in the say 115 to 122 landscape. We know the fights that are happening next month in California. Um, we know we got Rigando, Ray Vargas at 122. You know what we have at 118 with say a Tete. His name is out there. I don't see anybody else right now at 118. If you're the handlers of Luis Nery, um, where do you go? For me personally, I'm looking at the fighters that if I was his handlers, if I was his people, I'm looking at the guys at 115 and saying, okay, you got your tournament out over there. You got your business. I'm waiting for y'all.
The options in either direction, Mike, are extremely possible and feasible. He can make 115, I think, comfortably. He doesn't look extremely big at the weight, but his body is still developing. And as a barometer to the 115, Mike, he fought the Filipino Richie Mapronian, who also fought Quadras and Estrada, whereas those guys took like 7-9 rounds to get him out. Nery took him out in 2. So if he was to go back down to 115, you'd think the power would definitely still be there. It wouldn't be draining himself significantly. So there are options, but what Luis has spoke about in the past, Mike, was that he's looking for unifications, and he's looking for unifications relatively quickly. I like that. This victory will send shockwaves around. They will resonate. On the one hand, it may work to his detriment. People will say, damn, man, this kid just kicked Yamanaka's ass. I'm not getting in the ring with him. So it could work like that. Or people will be like, look, he's still a young champion. There might still be vulnerabilities. I'm not going to try and fight him. Somebody like a Tete, you would think, would give him some trouble because with his length. And I don't think Tete would be as reckless or as buoyant. He's more methodical. That could be, but that's the intriguing fight, certainly at 118 for me. The other 2 champions, I know McDonald is going back. I think he's got a fight with fighting Solis or something in the rematch, if I'm not mistaken. Given that Yamanaka's already taken care of Solis, I couldn't see Solis having much success against Nery. So I think that there are possibilities of unifying this division, Mike, very, very quickly. I like what he's called. I like what Zanfer said. I hope they stick by that motto. And even in the future, even if Inoue comes up to 118, Mike, I know Bo has talked about that Japanese showdown fight in the past, that for me is a dream fight as well. I know Inoue and Nery, Mike, whether it's in Japan or in the States or anywhere, given that Luis has had a taste of Japan, I'm sure he wouldn't mind coming back for another super fight. So many options, Mike. It's just staggering to believe he's got the whole world at his feet, quite literally. Difficult to prognosticate what exactly. I guess he'll go back to Mexico in Tuan. He's got a lot of people who have been sponsoring actually his training, and that very early on. He's got a couple of businesses down there that have been his benefactors as well. So I'm sure he'll have a fight just to commemorate and celebrate with his friends and his families back in Mexico. So look for him in the big fight. I think in probably in 2 fights time.
I hate to humble brag here, but part of my prognostications is starting to come true. During the mid-year show, look, what was the thing I was hoping for? That not just that Nery would win, but ultimately we would see a Nery Yamanaka showdown sometime next year. Yep. At the latest, maybe 2019. And I'll go to you, Bo. it's I can see. I said it. I said it a few weeks ago. I can see it happening. I can see it happening. And if HBO had some sense, um, on top of what they're doing at 115, if they had some sense, they would feature this Nery dude on their network on the After Dark show, on some undercard. They would feature him in a title defense. I'm just saying.
Think about this just for 1 second. Just think about what we could possibly see Nery versus Inoue. That we could possibly see a fight.
Saying. I said it a few weeks ago, and I was like, I can see this happening.
Oh, I mean, that is like, the sad thing is, like you said, we are the hardcores and we're on here. And the sad thing is, there aren't a lot of people that even watch these low weight division guys. And what you saw tonight is, Naoe Inoue, Nery, even in Yamanaka, what you see is guys who are not afraid to get in that ring and fight. You don't have the same issues at the lower weight division that you have at the higher weight divisions with, politics and all of this stuff getting in the way. These dudes really want to fight, and they get in there, and it's exciting. And we just saw, I mean, what I saw in Nery was probably, I'm not going to say the most impressive thing, but you can definitely make an argument for him for fighter of the year with just the fashion of which he won this fight.
Yes.
See, that's what I'm saying. The fashion of which he won this fight. You can make an argument for it. Of course, Joshua and Klitschko are still in play because of so much drama that was involved. But if you look at the fashion in which Nery just got in there, now I actually thought he lost the first round, but I saw some of the judges. So I thought he lost the first round. I thought Yamanaka won the second. I thought the third round was kind of a even round or feel out round because, Yamanaka controlled the first half of it and Nery the second. And I actually thought Yamanaka was getting to him because Yamanaka was landing the left. I'm like, oh, he's kind of getting to him. He's catching his timing. The jab was throwing Nery kind of off. But once Nery, he showed me something I didn't think he had. I thought Yamanaka had more ring IQ. But once Nery calculated and timed the jab in his movement, he jumped on him. I mean, he jumped on him. He went and he did what you're supposed to do when you're a fighter, which is it's the very reason why I feel like I'm glad Vladimir Klitschko retired. I actually hope Manny Pacquiao retired was when Nery had Yamanaka hurt, that killer instinct went into high gear and he stayed on him. And he didn't let up. He wasn't coming up off that dude until somebody was pulling him off of Yamanaka. And that's something we didn't see in the Klitschko fight when he had Anthony Joshua hurt. He didn't stay on him. Same thing with Pacquiao with Jeff Horn. That killer instinct, that finishing instinct just wasn't there. And that's what you saw. And to Yamanaka's credit, he took some hard blows. He was trying to come back, and he made the classic mistake of you're being outgunned, but you're still trying to gun with somebody that can outgun you. And that's where he made the mistake. And like you said, Gail, he actually was walking back to the corner in disbelief. I think he thought the round was over. And because he's sitting there and they're giving him water. And when he realized, you mean the fight's over? I lost my title? He was devastated.
I'll go to you, Gail. The future Luis Nery. I'm gonna keep saying it. I'm gonna keep putting some emphasis on it. I can see this. I can see it. I'm gonna be a boxing Nostradamus here. I can see it. I can see it. I'm gonna keep saying it. I can see it. Inoue. I think Inoue, Nery. That's a super fight at 118.
I do.
I know people talk about Chocolatito.
No, but everyone in Japan is going to want some revenge down the road. And Inoue is the guy they could look to deliver it. So this is going to set up a really fun rivalry. There's so many possibilities there. For Nery, I think it would be very smart of him to try to clean out bantamweight if he could. And at that point, you might have some of the super flyweights names that people will know if they keep watching. Move up to 118. I'm not 100% sure about him moving down to 115. It'd have to be a big fight for him, big showcase, big money. But he's likable. He's good with the media. He is going to get a hero's welcome in Tijuana, let me tell you. And yet another champion following in the footsteps of Eric Morales in Tijuana. They are going to be elated. I can't believe it. And I hope some of the media here in the San Diego region across the border takes notice, and I'm sure they will, and embrace him. And, there's just nothing but good on the road ahead for him. And finally, for those of us who love the action in the lower weight divisions, they are, somewhat like the women. They are finally having more than a moment. The momentum is there with performances like this. It's there. We need to be evangelists, all of us, and tell everyone we know, hey, here's the link. Check it out. If you've got beIN Sports, go. It's airing again tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Go find it. It actually is available in more markets than people think. It's one of those channels you never think to go look for and find. There is a link with the TV guide in my story in Communities Digital News. In my recap, I'll put another one in up near the top. Go watch this fight. You'll be so impressed. And this young man went into the Lion's Den. Let's remember, this was his first fight outside Mexico. His first fight outside Mexico. That takes some big brass ones, ladies and gentlemen. It does. I'm very, very impressed.
I just want to add one thing to what Gail said to give people an idea. Is he went to another country where no one other than the people that came with him was going to be rooting for him. That's what I want people to understand. He went where thousands of people were against him. That's what makes it impressive.
Yeah, and to do it the way he did. The thing I will say, Bo, is a slight pushback. I wouldn't say he's the fighter of the year right now, not my opinion, but the thing I will say, this was the most impressive performance of the year. And I'm not being hyperbolic about that. Even more so than Joshua, because, okay, you knew what Joshua is, the younger guy, the stronger guy, and blah, blah, blah. But I can't emphasize this enough. We've said it, we've all said it here. For Luis Nery to do what he did in that kind of environment against the fighter that he did it against, it's just wow. Just wow. I think he was going to say something, Gus, right quick.
Yeah, I would put Luis Nery and Daigo Higa as the two standout performances of the year, Mike. Given that Yamanaka was a pound-per-pound champion, so was Vladimir Klitschko, but we got to remember Klitschko had been out of the game for a number of years, plus he was in his 40s, so pretty much a fighter just going for one last grasp at glory. But Yamanaka, although he was 34, he's not had a significant number of fights, so there was a relative freshness still there to him, so he was still a potent champion. So in that context, I think the magnitude of the victory or Luis's achievements, coupled with the fact that he's a young man stepping out of Mexico for the first time, so for that it's a very strong case for not only fighter of the year but also performance of the year.
This is going to be a quick show. We're going to start to shut things down. We're going to talk more about this in a couple of days. We'll do a show. Episode Pound for Pound Boxing Report, going back to the Thursday format this week, where we'll do even further recap and then preview Crawford and Ndongo. So I'll go around the panel here, starting with ladies first. Gail, final analysis of what we just saw.
You have a young champion with all the tools. And one of the most important tools he's got is patience and steady nerves to go in there in front of a hostile crowd outside your home country for the first time when the stakes were so high for the man you're standing across from and beat him decisively. That's forget the punching. Forget the actual physical effects we saw happen. He won that fight in his head first. And that's really what makes his performance so impressive.
Gus from Corruption and Boxing, both from Truth and Facts. Your final thoughts.
I just want to say to Paddy Power, Betfair, and Betfred, watch out, guys. I'm coming for my money in 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
I'm delighted, Mike. Just absolutely delighted. Sorry, but yeah, just, you know, just euphoric, still pumped up, desperate to watch the fight again. You know, the fight was over so quickly, Mike. I couldn't even roll a spliff, you know what I mean? It was just...
Hey, what you said? You couldn't blaze up on them? You couldn't blaze on them, huh?
Yeah, it was just very happy, and yeah, look forward to the show on Thursday where we can, you know, calm down a bit and give a proper footsie. But yeah, great conversing with you guys.
Both from Truth and Facts. So your final analysis.
First off, man, I want to thank all of you guys for all of being here. This just furthermore proves to me why I've always loved this sport. We are up this late at night. Well, Gus is regular time, so he good for him. But we are up this early because and nobody's paying us. Let's make that clear. We're up this early because we love the sport. And a fight like this has us up this late. That should tell everyone the importance of what this fight means and what these two fighters have brings when we're talking about it. I mean, like you said, people are on social media and Facebook, they're going crazy about it. So, you know, mad shout out to these for these two men for getting in the ring and doing it. But I want to say a special shout out to Daniel because he kept beating that drum. Heir apparent, heir apparent, heir apparent. And I'm like, nah, I'm not buying it. Yamanaka, I've been following this cat. He moves and so to Daniel, man, I tip my hat to you, brother. You called it right.
He borrowed the drum from me.
Yeah, Gus has been doing this. Gus is he's been talking about Luis Nery for at least 2 years.
Okay. See, and I
think on 2015 year-end show, I believe it was, Gus mentioned him as his prospect of the year.
Yeah, because my fighter of the year in that year 2015 was Inoue. No, and I was like, this is my fighter of the year. I don't know what nobody was talking about. And somebody mentioned Nery, but I was like, nah, man, that dude, nah, man, he ain't gonna be able to. When I heard what division he was in, I said, dog, he ain't coming up nowhere, man. You got Yamanaka in that division. Well, this was 2 years in the making, and I guess somebody must have told Nery because he proved me wrong in a big way. But just, you know, I just want people to understand one thing, that these men go through so much, and women go through so much at a young age to sacrifice everything they have to, I met them from the time they're 4 and 5 years old to get to where they are today. So show these people some appreciation. Let's take this enthusiasm and let's spill this over into the women's fight game. Let's spill this over into more fights at these divisions. Let's let this spill over. And to your and I'm with you, Mike. If HBO has a brain in their head, they look at this and they start investing. This is what you invest in. Stop investing in these older fighters that's just going to ask for a lot of money and don't want to do a lot. Invest in these young guys that's willing to put it on the line, that's going to give you more bang for your buck. So shout out to them and shout out to everybody, Earl Spence, and anybody else that traveled into hostile territory this year and won the title. Shout out to all of you because that's what boxing is about. World champion means world champion, and we saw that today.
First and foremost, like I said, I know it was early in the morning, particularly for Gail out there in the West Coast. So I want to thank Gail. I want to thank Bo, and I want to thank Gus for joining us at this early hour. Uh, just piggybacking on Gus says, I cannot be more excited and happy. Not just the fact that Luis Nery won, but the fact that particularly hardcore heads uh, gave this fight the attention that it deserves. Uh, just lets me know that I'm not alone and we're not alone in talking about these kind of fights, these kind of fighters. So I'm really happy about that. I'm happy that uh, I went on Twitter and folks were sharing links on where to watch the fight live and blah, blah, blah. And, tweeting the action as it was going on. So lets me know that, you're not alone. Yeah, I am a boxing geek, a boxing nerd, but as we all are, but it lets me know that there's others in the fold who are just as excited about these kind of bouts, as Bo says. And as I stated earlier in the show, the arrival of a new force here on the smaller weight boxing landscape. I hope people watch this as often as they can on the station, on the network that Gail was talking about. I hope when this bout pops up on YouTube, wherever you can find it, it gets as many views as they can, and people have further discussion on this afterwards. And I will say, for those other channels who will talk about Luis Nery, and act like they're the first person to talk about him, no, you're not. Because pound for pound was talking about him before a lot of y'all were, many of y'all were. So don't be bandwagon fans and don't claim like you quote unquote discovered this dude. No, you didn't.
Yeah. Tell him, Mike.
I usually don't talk like that, but I can see it. I can see how some folks on the YTBC are, particularly those who have larger platforms and they get many more followers and views than we do.
Mike,
I see y'all.
Mike, the ironic thing is that, Mike, although a lot of these boxing newspapers, journalists, podcasts were all saying, look, he's a major talent. When it came down to the prediction, they were saying it's too early for him. I can't see him doing it. So now they'll reverse their position and go back and say, I told you all along this kid was the truth, mate. So they're a bunch of fucking hypocrites.
There you go, Gus. I agree 100%, Gus.
Now, but tell them how you really feel, though.
You actually said a lot nicer than I would have.
Exactly. So, yeah, I'm glad that people really focus on this fight. I'm glad that people went out of their way to watch this fight. Let the coverage ensue. Let the talk about Luis Nery ensue. The world is his right now in the smaller weight landscape. I know the big fights in that weight range are next month in California with Yamanaka, not with Inouye and Chocolatito SSR2. But as I said before, there better be some discussion about Luis Nery during that card. HBO would be out of their damn mind if they didn't pick this guy up for a title defense. And I'm going to keep pounding the pavement about this. I can see it. Luis Nery, Naoya Inouye, Japan or in the States. I'm a peep pounding that drum until it happens, because that, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be the fight in that smaller weight division. I'm changed my mind. Not Inouye Chocolatito, because right now I said if they were to fight, Inouye would win. I'm changing my mind right now. Naoya Inouye, Luis Nery. That is the fight right now in that 115, 118, 122 landscape. And you heard it here first. Go around the panel here. Again, I want to thank everybody for joining me this early hour. Gail from Communities Digital News. I'm stumbling my words because I'm so excited. For folks who want to talk boxing, for folks who want to talk Game of Thrones or whatever, let the folks know where they can find you.
Some of us are stumbling our words because it's 5:40 in the morning in the West Coast, but we'll be very happy to welcome another world champion a few miles south in Mexico. I will have a recap posted shortly and a link to where you can find, hopefully, cross your fingers, beIN Sports Espanol in your area. I am at Communities Digital News. That's COM, C-O-M-M, Digi, D-I-G-I News, comdiginews.com. We do have the Super Flyweight tournament, I'm calling it that, coming up in a couple of weeks here, and we should have a media workout fairly soon, and I'm going to be asking a lot of questions about one Luis Nery.
Indeed, indeed. Let's see what the response is. I want to see how many folks are anxious to fight this guy if they really saw it, including the Nery, who had to be watching the fight in Japan. I'll go to you, Gus from Corruption in Boxing. For folks who want to talk boxing or whatever, let the folks know where they can find you.
Gail, you might be our favorite redhead, but stop complaining about the time. I mean, I'm always up till 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. The shows, US fights, God knows what. I'm happy to. This is me. I can have a nice roast chicken now or whatever, feet up. Beautiful.
I do now feel your pain. I do. But the good news is, after I finish my recap, hell, I'm going back to bed for an hour.
Good. Enjoy your sleep.
Thank you.
Corruption in Boxing, Mike. All platforms. You might even see me out of my cave now. Or if there's any more content next week, then you won't see me for another year.
Indeed. I had to bring back Gus from the Batcave. We've been talking about this fight. Gus has been the one on the YTBC. Podcasters, magazines, mainstream, hardcore, smaller platform. He's been the one who's been talking about Luis Nery. So I had to get him back out the Batcave to talk about this fight, to preview this fight, as well as discuss it on this live show, and hopefully have him back Thursday when we discuss the fight in further detail. Go to you both from Truth and Facts. I know it's early in your time too. Thanks for joining me. For folks who want to talk boxing or anything else, let the folks know where they can hit you up.
Well, actually, it's I have not had any sleep. I've worked a 24-hour shift. I was getting off work when this fight was coming on, and I was determined to watch this fight. And I'm driving, window down, head sticking out, trying to get wind in my face. And all of a sudden, I'm watching this fight, and life just came back into my body all over again, And so, I haven't felt like this since one of my kids was born. So,
let me chime in. I want to say congratulations. Look like you're expected to be a grandfather pretty soon, as your oldest is about to give birth. So I want to give congratulations to you both.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, man. Her name is going to be Madison. They already got the name picked out.
Nice name.
Thank you so much. Yeah. You can find me Truth and Facts About Boxing. Truth, capital T for Truth, capital underscore capital F, Fact Box 1 for Twitter, and also Instagram, Truth underscore Fact Box 1. You can also find me, of course, with my guys from the movement. I'm tired as hell. Just find me wherever they talk boxing. I can't get my thoughts together. I'm tired. I'm excited. I got so many emotions going through me at once. But wherever they talking boxing, and to piggyback off what Gus said, there is a place that you all can kiss if you try to take credit for something that's been talked about on this show first. And it's not a place that you want to be there. But if you people want to take credit, I'm gonna go eat a burrito, eat some cheese, and drink some milk. Then I want you to come kiss that place where the sun don't shine for me.
For us who want to talk boxing or music or even fitness, and let me say right here, right now, officially,
congratulations,
Body Fitness Coach. I will post the links here in the description box and put it in the chat when I put it on the blog. So yeah, at Brother J on Twitter, at Brother JR76. If you want to find out all things regarding Pound for Pound Box Report, P4PBoxReport.wordpress.com is the link. Check the right of the blog page. You'll find links to the pages and channels on Facebook, G+, YouTube, Tumblr, Twitter. Also, links to where to listen to us: SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher Radio, Player FM, as well as Mixcloud. I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning, or in Gus's case, early afternoon. Special live post-fight wrap-up of Luis Nery's destruction of Shinsuke Yamanaka to win the WBC Bantamweight title. We have a new player on the scene. We have a new force in the game. His name is Luis Pantera Nery. For Gail from Communities Digital News, Gus from Corruption in Boxing. I am your host, Michael. This has been special live post-fight episode Pound for Pound Box Report. We will see you guys in a couple of days. Further discussion about this once we wind down, once we settle down, once we let everything digest about what we just saw. So yeah, further discussion about Yamanaka Nery, as well as talk Crawford and Dungo, that entire card. So for Gus, for Gail, for Gus, from Bo, I'm your host, Michael. Special live post-fight episode, Pound for Pound Box Report. Everybody have a good day, good morning, good day, good evening, good night.
Good night.
Sayonara.
Good night.